Andrew Fox, Honorary President of Aston Villa's Jewish Villains Supporters Club. Great to have you on the programme, Andrew. Now, when we look at what's been announced here, to me, it looks very much like an increasingly assertive, if not aggressive, cohort of Islamists in Birmingham, including people who are elected representatives in the House of Commons, have made a big noise about the Jewish supporters coming from Tel Aviv, and they've got their own way. In fact, I want to play you a clip of an imam in Birmingham first. This is what he said.
We safeguard the vulnerable from any type of exploitation. That is the character of a Muslim, who has a Muslim as a rahmah. This, remember, rahmah is in its place. It's in its place. When the Tel Aviv fans come to Birmingham in a few weeks, we will not show them rahmah in Birmingham.
So it seems to me this guy and some of the Muslim vote MPs have all turned around, had a petition saying we don't want the Tel Aviv fans to come, and the police have just buckled to it. Is the tail wagging the dog at this point, Andrew?
Yeah, it looks like it, doesn't it? And, you know, there's also suggestions from the police that there is a wider security threat against the Tel Aviv fans, which I suspect looks very much like the organised pogrom that we saw in Amsterdam just last year, where a coordinated WhatsApp group of 900 people organised attacks on Jews by busing people in from across the Netherlands to attack them and go on what they described as a Jew hunt. So if that is indeed the threat, then unfortunately the police have buckled to it rather than stand up and face those thugs down if they do show their faces on match day in Birmingham.
What surprises me, what shocks me, what appalls me is when you think of people like Lucy Connolly, sentenced to 31 months in prison for what she puts on Twitter. You have people like that imam who, to me, seems to be openly inciting violence against Jews. We've recently had the attack on the synagogue. We've got people elected to the parliament. Zara Sultana's now saying actually all Israeli athletes and sports people should be banned from competitions because it's normalising genocide. Again, it's the grievance narrative which is often used by people with certain ideologies. And rather than anybody in government calling it out and going, this is a barbaric medieval ideology that has no place in British society, they're all running scared of it. Why?
Yeah, and you know, this is part of their wider campaign. This is all part of the campaign we've seen running for 2 years after the 7th of October slaughter in Israel, where the sort of pro-Palestine movement are trying to create an international pariah status for Israel based on their lies around the genocide hoax in Gaza. So, you know, this is once again politics creeping into our national life from overseas. It's not British, it's not how we do things. And look, when I'm talking to you about Aston Villa, I want to be talking about Emi Buendia from Argentina, or how I would reply to my old man if he asked me to be a Birmingham City fan. That's what I want to talk about. But unfortunately, this foreign nonsense has been dragged onto British streets, which is a real shame.
But it's not just being dragged on, it's not so much creeping in. We're now in a situation where we have seen the attack against a synagogue. We have now seen Jews banned from participating in public life, coming to a football match, because if they dare set foot inside Birmingham at the weekend, they could be physically attacked. I mean, when people look at how Germany descended into utter violence, madness and evil under Adolf Hitler, you should take a little pause and see what's going on in Britain, because this isn't just a small slight creep of a few odd extremists when you're actually having a whole visiting football team worrying about their security and people from a particular country being told, you can't come, you might get killed.
The MP for Perry Barr is Abe Khan, who's one of the Gaza MPs, who's elected not on how he's going to make the life of people in Aston better, not on what we can do about public services in the UK, but on a foreign policy issue. So that, you know, the fact there are 5 MPs in the House of Commons elected on that basis is firstly deeply disturbing. And now they are dragging that toxic politics into into our mainstream. And look, you know, in the last week we've seen that young man workshopping his chant about putting Zios in the ground. The tweets from some of those Gaza MPs referred explicitly to Zionists and how they should be purged from British society. And like, this narrative is becoming mainstream. Yeah. Unfortunately, it seems that rather than face it down and provide law and order and safety to football fans, West Midlands Police have just tried to duck the issue rather than put cops on the streets in the numbers required. And that again is terrifying because it means the mob has won.
But what I'm seeing as well, looking at X today, is they've not just won, they're being emboldened. What started off as people going, well, for the security of the visiting fans, we probably shouldn't have them here, has become for the security of the people of Birmingham, to these are racist and Zionists, to these are terrorists, to actually Jews can't take part in football matches at all, to all Jewish athletes should be banned. I mean, it literally, when I'm looking at how quickly this is escalating from certain Muslim voices online, they seem to think that they're winning the day and they can actually push this even further. And you know what, Andrew? I'm afraid that they're probably right, because nobody in any position of authority seems to have the guts or the spine to turn round, point at extremist Islamism and say this is what's not welcome, actually send the cops over to their house rather than, I don't know, appearing on someone's Ring doorbell because some tweet they sent 5 years ago and you won't even tell them what the tweet's about. What about that imam? What about actually dragging some of these MPs by their collars into the Parliamentary Standards Office and saying, actually, you can't behave like this? Because it seems to me when we talk about two-tierism, the most disgusting, brutal, vile, misogynistic, anti-Semitic, anti-Western, corrosive ideology we have in this country is exactly the one that nobody in a position of power or in the establishment ever wants to call out.
Well, go look at my my Twitter replies, my X replies, if you want to really get a taste for this. I had someone telling me they would stab me if I went to the game against Maccabi Tel Aviv as an Aston Villa fan. And look, and here's the bottom line. If the police can't keep the streets safe for Maccabi fans, how can they keep the streets safe for me or my Jewish friends who go and have a Star of David around their neck? You know, are they going to be safe at the game? You know, this is a test. This is a test for our society, a test for our government, and we need to make sure we don't fail it. You know, fortunately, Mr. Starmer, Kemi Badenoch, they've all sort of had a real unity of messaging on this, that it is the wrong decision, it needs to be overturned. And I just hope the government have the chutzpah to follow through and actually get it done.
I'm afraid it seems to me that we're very much failing that test. Andrew, fantastic to have you on the programme in a different guise this time.